I just decided I wanted to see if I could set up a media automation system that works from within a virtual environment. In this case, the virtual environment is Qemu, and I don't have it full screen so that I can actually show you that it is in Qemu before I set it as full screen. So essentially, I just set up this system to run on my personal computer within Qemu or a virtual environment, so that I can actually just have the VPN running in the virtual environment instead of my personal computer. And then anything that is downloaded would be downloaded to my hard drive on my desktop, and then we can just go from there. But essentially, what I did is install most of the applications or web-based applications that are needed to have a media automation system. So obviously it includes JellyFin, Plex, JellySeer, Radar, Sonar, Prowler, Lidar, Redar, Deluge, and Bizarre. And then there's also Flame Solver, which actually doesn't have to be on this page because I never really need to access it directly. But it needs to be running in order to bypass certain things, like basically, Flame Solver is actually used to bypass cloud flares, restrictions, so that you can actually use other sites that wouldn't normally be available within Prowler, which is actually the media search, or it searches for content based on the sites that are available to search for content. So essentially, I guess what everything in here is this is basically just a web interface, and the software I actually used is called it's called Heimdall, if I'm pronouncing that right. And the only reason I'm really using it is because everything is set up so that it doesn't require, I don't want to use anything that has anything to do with Docker. And so basically this is completely free of Docker based installation, because I don't know, I just don't think need to have Docker. And obviously I was able to set up everything without using Docker, because most of the apps are just that. They're just apps that you can actually install in Linux, or Debian Linux, because they're just deb files. And some of the other ones you might have to compile, like I think I had to compile JellySeer, and and then like the other ones like Radar and Sonar and all them actually just downloaded from the site and then installed all under the opt directory on your in Linux. So I just didn't see any need to install or make it more complex by you know, having it all within Docker when, you know, it's just extra overhead in my opinion. And you know, I don't really, you know, like, and I don't have any reason to to use Docker, and haven't used it yet, even though it's, you know, kind of a, you know, a popular thing with, you know, most people. It's just, you know, I just don't have see any reason to use it. So essentially I don't, you know, and everything is, you know, like I say, that's part of this interface, and makes up the media automation system isn't Docker based. So essentially, to go on here, even though I have all the applications installed, you know, they haven't been set up. So I'm gonna have to just go through that process, and so I'm just going to use JellyFin rather than Plex, because I don't use Plex to be, you know, myself, because, you know, it requires, you know, an external account with, you know, Plex, and, you know, I don't see any need to have that either, so I don't. And, you know, Media or JellyFin actually does pretty much most of the things I need to, you know, to have it do, because, you know, videos actually, you know, would watch using Kodi, and so I don't really need to use any of the internal plugins or apps, you know, for JellyFin or Plex, because, you know, that's just not how I do things. And so anyway, we do go on here. I'm just going to go to, you know, setting up JellyFin, and I'm just going to use a simple password, because, like I say, this is just a virtual copy of this setup, you know, as proof of concept, and it's not actually used. So I might just delete it after, you know, making this video. So but, you know, I have to, you know, set up a media source and an account in order to set up the other applications, like, you know, JellySear. You know, JellySear requires something to be set up with JellyFin. So actually, I'll just go through this process. I'm going to also set up shows, and like, you know, under the folder conventions that I have set up. So, you know, what this actually is like I say, it's Qemu with Xubuntu on it, and then the actual content is on the desktop environment, accessed via, you know, basically it's Samba, which is, you know, really just Windows sharing for Linux. So that's how I have it set up. So what it actually does is I have Xubuntu installed, you know, in Qemu, and then I can access content on my personal hard drive, and then go from there. So essentially, I just set up, you know, JellyFin, like I say, because I have to set up everything in sequence here, or I might set up a few things just because I need to, and then, you know, so now that, you know, JellyFin is actually set up, I can then set up JellySear, which actually is a search app or a front end, for a search, app that works in conjunction with radar and sonar. And so we can actually, then I have to go back and to JellyFin to get the API key so that JellySeer can communicate with JellyFin back and forth, and it's kind of the process that I would actually do to get everything working together. So everything is okay. So then just see if I can remind myself what the external URL is. So I'm just going to, I just previously had all that stuff set up, so I should only need to use that, and then I can save the username and password within the browser. Okay, what the hell am I doing here? Okay, so libraries are synced, and now I should be able to then, essentially add radar, add sonar, which, for, TV series and movies, or I can just get out of this altogether so they can actually just look at, you can see what JellySeer actually looks like. And so actually this is, so if you wanted to, to put anything in the queue, you just basically, select it and choose request. And then the whole process of actually downloading it would be dependent on if it's actually a TV series or a movie, and because sonar or radar actually work with, I can't remember the order now, but essentially sonar and radar are the two programs that are required to download TV series and movies. But I probably won't go through all of the setup for them, just because it's just a little bit time consuming, and there's plenty of videos on how to set them up. But I just wanted to show the proof of concept that everything would work. In theory, I think that if you wanted to something that was set up like this, and you wanted to use JellyFin and Plex, it'd probably be possible. It's just that, Jelly's here is actually asking for one or the other. So, and I won't, be trying to see if it actually would work with both of them, because I'm not interested in using Plex at all. But this is kind of how it would work. And like I say, the what's really unique about it is that it runs from within Qemu, so that I can just run it whenever I need to, which isn't very often, because obviously there's not a lot that I'm sitting down watching TV, or series or movies or anything like that I want to watch. So I'm not spending a lot of time in front of the TV to begin with. But this system would actually, take care of that. And I'm just going to minimize this interface. I haven't actually, in this copy, this is just proof of concept. Heimdall is actually just run manually, and then you can have that, the interface, the web interface with all the applications in there. And I just set that up because I don't want to just have bookmarks for all the applications or all the web pages of the different applications that are required to use to process any of this stuff. So essentially it's set it manually. And the only other option that I have found is called HomeARR. But the only thing with HomeARR is that it only works within Docker. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to use HomeARR because I don't want to use Docker either. So that just put it out of the question. And there's only a few VPN programs that I actually know that work from within Linux, and especially within this copy of Xubuntu that I have, and those I have on the desktop here, and they include Surfshark, which is pretty decent, and can be used for whatever, including torrents. And then there's VPN Unlimited, which is actually more limited, but it works for what I need it for. The real drawbacks, obviously, for VPN Unlimited is that you can only have like 5 instances, VPN instances. So like you only have a VPN on like maybe your Android phone and your Linux, and then if you actually have one, you are using a VPN for the web browser alone, then that would be actually 3 instances. And like I say, then you only have 2 more that you can actually use. So but the reality is that I come across where I could actually purchase VPN Unlimited for, I think it was no more than $50, but the license is lifetime. So it's like I have a lifetime license for VPN Unlimited for $50. But I think it was actually less than that. Maybe it was $40 or something like that. It was just a deal on some site that was a special promotion. So anyway, I don't know of any other VPN programs that will work in Linux that have their their interface, or their web-based, well, not web-based, but basically application-based GUI like Surfshark and VPN Unlimited do. So essentially, the other thing is that they have to run on Linux, and I have to be able to run them in the background from within the graphical interface of Xubuntu. Even though it might work to actually install them as VPN instances that work once the system is booted up, but I want to I wanted to have a little bit more control rather than just something that automatically loads on startup, and so that's why I wanted these applications that run from within the app, the GUI. So I actually have a more substantial setup for this, but these are just kind of like I say, proof of concept. But they don't. The other thing is, like in a lot of YouTube videos, is basically they would run this media automation suite from within, like Unraid or on a separate personal computer or a server or someplace like something like Proxmox on another server. But all I really needed myself was something that that I could run every once in a while to mostly catch up on things that I might want to watch. And so since I don't have all kinds of things that I want to watch, and I don't watch any videos more than once usually, unless it's been years since I watched it last, and then I just I don't keep any media content after I watch it, so basically I don't fill up hard drives and need like a RAID array or anything like that to store anything that I'm not going to keep. So essentially, the other benefit is that if I wanted to actually install this on a personal computer, all I'd have to do is basically restore a copy of this setup to a hard drive, and then just install it into a computer. And because it's Xubuntu, usually will have some enough hardware support outside of like video cards like NVIDIA or AMD, which might require special support, but that doesn't mean you can't just install the special drivers like you get from NVIDIA or AMD to make it work with them. And obviously there would be some benefit as far as transcoding with higher end graphics processors in like JellyFin and obviously other sources, because if you actually convert you know, some content from your DVD or Blu-ray disc, you'll still need to, you know, transcode it to something different in order to possibly view it on, you know, the system. Or you may not want to, you know, say if you're backing up like a Blu-ray disc, they can be, you know, 25 gigabytes or more, and so, you know, storing, you know, a lot of those Blu-ray discs or, you know, that type of content might take up a lot of space, you know, when you consider, you know, like I say, they're, you know, they can be as small as 25 gigabytes, but as large as, you know, possibly 50 gigabytes, you know, because, you know, that's what, you know, Blu-rays can actually hold. So, most likely cases, you know, the video quality wouldn't be degraded by, you know, transcoding, you know, anything. So, you know, it would be obviously be recommended that, you know, the content is transcoded into something smaller, you know, like X265 or 264 MP4 files, which obviously would take up a lot less space, or, you know, XV containers, but, you know, that's just all personal preference, you know, to the users. But essentially, I just kind of wanted to show this, you know, proof of concept, and, you know, and I didn't want to go through all the, you know, the setup process, because, you know, there's plenty of videos that are already on YouTube that, you know, show how to set that up. But the only thing I might want to suggest is that you actually look at there's some guides that, you know, that might be helpful, and one of them is actually called the trash guides, you know, so you can actually find it at, you know, trashguides.info, and I don't know what, you know, why it's taking so long to load here. But anyway, you know, the trash guides actually just go through the setup process for most of the programs that are included in this suite. And so what you can actually learn is, you know, the optimal way to set up, you know, most of the programs, you know, as far as quality and so forth and so on. So that, you know, essentially, if you want to get the best quality, you can just set it up to, you know, to only acquire those type of files. So, you know, like they might be something that's, you know, 1080p or 2160p or, you know, something like that. But I only basically just, you know, you go with 720p and 1080p because my TV only supports that, you know, 1080p. And even though I have something that supports 4K or 2180 or 2160p, I haven't even taken it out of the box yet because you know, I don't, you know, I haven't ever had the need to do so yet. So I'm just, you know, it's just basically something that I have in reserve for, you know, if the TV I'm using now ever goes bad. So like I say, you basically, the trash guides actually have a, wealth of information on how to, set up things for optimal, performance and so forth and so on. But like I say, it's to set up this would might require a little bit more tweaking as far as going into all the apps and setting up the quality that you want to download and so forth and so on, because you can actually download like 320p or file that are actually very kind of low quality. But if you want to download like old movies and stuff like that, they may not be any better than that. So you have to just basically decide what quality you actually want to be able to download. Because like I say, if, old media might not be any better quality than like I say 320p or 480p or something like that. So there's not going to be anything better available, in some obviously black and white, movies or TV series and so forth and so on. But there's also a difference between maybe what you would download as far as a TV series or movies, and what you would download as far as a anime TV series or movies. And you might have to have separate configurations if you're needing to download both of those things, because the quality would be just different, because the movies are actually just different, and how they're produced and so forth and so on. So I guess it's just kind of a brief overview of my setup, and so that you could actually see that it is possible to set up everything without having it all in Docker and without having it on a separate computer, and also being able to just run it whenever you want to by setting it up in a virtual environment. And in this case is Qemu, but I could simply just I'm just trying to think. It basically just transfer the format to something that's compatible with VirtualBox, and then just load it up and run it in VirtualBox. But I just decided to use Qemu because basically the interface is just a little bit different, and I can do some things in it, that I can't do in VirtualBox, and some hardware configurations that I can't do in VirtualBox, and it just works perfectly fine for what my needs are. So I thank you for tuning in, and appreciate your support, and hope to see you the next time.